Good morning, healing friends. Steve here, and we're in for a ride. What can I say? The energies are just pumping out change. I've got friends and clients all over the world, and no matter who I touch base with, no matter who I'm interacting with, and asking, what are they noticing is going on? Many of them have clients, and I asked one of my friends, what are you noticing with your clients? And she basically, I'm going to make it, but she basically went, I said, okay, I don't need any words. I totally got what you're experiencing. And so many of my clients have used the words freaking out. And so I just want to take a moment, slow it down, and express my appreciation for you as a human being, a being living in a human form on a planet that's probably in the largest shift that it's ever possibly made energetically. And this shift is taking place, has been taking place, well, leading up to this forever, but the last 28 years, we're in the last 5 months or so. Today's the 21st, so the 24th, so in 3 days it'll be exactly 5 months. So we got October, November, December, January, February, March. So on March 24th of 2025, and I know in the past I've said the 23rd, and I'm going with the Mayan calendar. I'm going with Paco Votan, who predicted this thing in between 603 and 683 AD, which is when he was alive. And he set up, he was the time engineer. He was the prophet of the Yucatec people, the red serpent people. He was their sage and their king and the prophet. And all this information that's come out in the past, we've become more aware of it in the past 30 years. It came from him in 600 and whatever, 650, whatever. So if he was born in 623, so in 625, he would have been 22 years old. But sometime in that period of 80 years that he was alive in a human form on Earth, he mapped out how time works. And he said that time works in a spiral. It's not a circle. It's a spiral, and it keeps catching itself at different points in that spiral. And so I've already done a video. It's uploading right now. I think it's called Another Period of Big Changes, something like that. But I thought I would make another video, and just to pull a card, because I like various symbols, and I like various more ancient things that we can tap into rather than the really left brain science. It's the science, trust the science, safe and effective, to get out of that brain and bring back the brain that's trust yourself, trust your intuition, trust what you see, trust what you know, trust your ability to process information when it's not being shoved down your throat or shoved in your ears or visually, just pummeling you with this information. And even when I do that, I can feel the panic that begins to arise, which the majority of people on the planet are feeling this panic because it's coming out of them because they're letting go of the past. And all of us have millions of years of history genetically because we had to go back to the beginning, our forebearers, if there were, I'm not saying at all that I perceive that as a biblical story, but it's a good metaphor. Adam and Eve, and everybody here is through them, according to that story. And all of them are stories. There's stories about the moon goddess, and there's stories about the turtle, and there's stories about the panther, and there's story about the white buffalo, and then if we move out, there's more and more and more stories. And all of those stories come down to you and me being in human form with genetics and memories and soul experiences and ancestors that had experiences and ancestors that held the experiences of their ancestors all the way back. And we're in a radical time of change. And I would say that I gave up the constant state of panic that I was in back in 2011. I did a lot of work to come out of the panic, and I was out of that panic, and I was able to go through experiences of moving all the way across the country later in life. It will be 13 years ago that I moved from a home that I loved in an area that I loved, that I'd been in for 30-some years. And I moved across the country without the panic. So I haven't had much panic since then. It hasn't been my habit, which it was before. But I've had so much feeling of panic in the last month or so. I've been able to clear it because I know how to do these things, and I can set up healing fields for myself, and I can ground and integrate the energy of the panic. But I oftentimes wonder, how are people doing that don't have my 54 years of healing study, healing work behind them to help them handle the stuff that's going on currently? And I'm not talking about any of it other than what Paco Vatan told me would be going on. Whatever it is, 1,800 years ago. I can't do the math. Okay, so we got a card for today, and that card is the Devil card. If you have stuff about the devil, you can feel your stuff about the devil. But this should help clear some of that up. So the devil card, which is the 15 of trumps in the tarot deck, represents the universal principle of mirth combined with stability. This is the only card in the entire deck which has undergone a transformation within itself. During Greek mythology, this symbol was Pan, the half man and half goat, the god of merriment and sensuality. In Egyptian mythology, this symbol was Ra, the sun deity, a symbol of life force and energy. During the Middle Ages, there was a backlash to the panistic cults, and the archetype of the devil was created. The panistic goat was changed into the devil, and ironically, devil spelled backwards is lived. During the Middle Ages, the panistic activities of people living it up were considered hedonistic. Therefore, in order to quell those activities, they had to be rendered evil or made wrong in order to make way for new belief systems that were emerging at that time in the Middle Ages. I don't even know when they were. I didn't do that well in history. And it's all made up anyway, his story. So I didn't really buy it. But I'm willing to work with it. The Devil Pan archetype represents the need to face whatever we might consider our bedevilments or problems with the tenacity of Capricorn the goat, or with humor like Pan or Bacchus from Greek mythology. We can face and move through our bedevilments, the webbings on the side of the card, with sure-footedness like Capricorn the goat, and with the mirth and humor of Pan, the smiling goat. This symbol reminds us that if we take our problems or bedevilments too seriously, that they can ensnare us and take us off balance. And I've noticed that, especially in the past few days. Off balance. The Devil Pan symbol represents the need to hold on to both the qualities of mirth stability and our centeredness in facing real or imagined problems, so that we won't be thrown off balance. Capricorn, the goat, is willing to look at internal issues, the third eye of the goat, and external bedevilments, both eyes looking straight ahead. With the eye of Horus staff, the Egyptian staff of vision and intuition, we can protect ourselves from other people's considerations about what we are doing or not doing. And the 4 female figures and the 4 male figures at the base of the card also represent an inherent need during times of bedevilment to use both our magnetic, receptive abilities, portrayed by the female figures, as well as our dynamic initiatory abilities, represented by the male figures. Creative power is the ability to combine both the genetic balances of magnetism and dynamism within our natures. And Bennett W. Goodspeed said these words, or wrote these words: "The difference between a comedy and a tragedy is that in a comedy, the characters figure out reality in time to do something about it." I'm going to read that again. People are telling you what the world is. Safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and effective. And when they're telling you about the world and how it is, they'll tell you 3 times. Safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and effective. And when you begin having other experiences that are like, oh, maybe not, then that's the time where you have to take the hypnotic programming of the world that's forced into your consciousness and go, I'm not so sure about it. That may be true, may not be true. Doesn't seem to be true. There's all sorts of things that are appearing that are stating otherwise. And this is a time of awakening. We are awakening. And if we're holding on to beliefs that have been shoved down our throats since the Middle Ages, we're going to be uncomfortable. And if we let go of all of those beliefs and get to a point where we trust our perceptions, our intuitions, our heart sensing, our gut sensing, we will be okay. If we trust the powers that be, possibly we'll be screwed. If we trust the powers that are, we'll be aligned. Everything will go well. Who do you trust? You got to make a choice. I'm going to read this again by Bennett Goodspeed. The difference between a comedy and a tragedy is that in a comedy, the characters figure out reality in time to do something about it. This was a very good card to get. The Devil card. You can pause it there if you want to just look at it for a bit. What bedevils us right now? What are we upset about that we actually have going on in our own personal experience? So I might be upset because gas prices are so high, or I might be upset because food prices have gone up so much, or I might be upset because whatever it is that you're actually maybe having a personal experience of. But if you're upset because what you're being told by this screen in front of you or by the podcast you're listening to, then it's all rumor. Your experience is all you can rely on. And you can trust your experience, especially if your third eye is open, your intuition is there, your crown chakra is open, you're connected to the higher realms, the consciousness of the higher realms that naturally guide you if you're willing to be guided. And now would be a time to possibly make that choice. Or go into the fear that's being offered to you by the worldly powers that be, that contract your energy, contract that fear, and it gets stuck in the kidneys and adrenal glands primarily, and then you lose your power. And then you start feeling like you can't do anything about anything because you don't have any power. So I did a sound healing video earlier that is meant to release that stuck energy, that fear energy that keeps our creativity from moving, the power of our creative self from moving. When we let go of that fear, things begin moving again. Things seem interesting, possibly exciting. We possibly feel motivated by what's possible rather than compressed by the impossibility of anything ever working out again. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's possible. And so that video this morning was made after I did like a 50-minute session with Master Gu on Qigong, and that shifted a lot. And so if you want to look up Master Ming Tong, Mingtong, one word, Ming Tong Gu, Gu. He was a Qigong master that I discovered through the collective healing conference that I did a few weeks back. And his sound healing I found very effective, opening up, there was two parts to it, opening up the heart and releasing the fear of the kidneys. And I found those very useful. And then I discovered that he has a center in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So if you type in Master Gu, Qigong, and they spell it Qigong, I think, Qigong. But he has a website. You go to the website, you scroll down, and it says Qi TV, and you can click that, and you can watch and participate in a Qigong exercise with him every Tuesday morning. It's Mountain Time, so I'm on Pacific Time, so it's an hour earlier here than there. So if it's 9 there, it's 8 here, I think. That's how it works. East Coast time would be 11. But anyway, it's every Tuesday. And I did it this morning off of the tape from last Tuesday, and then tomorrow morning it's going to be going again. But you can watch the tape from the previous week and do the exercises and feel the changes and see if it doesn't help you to begin getting your energy moving and getting your centeredness back again and getting your connection with this higher realm back so you feel it moving through you. The energies of the universe are animating you and suggesting your actions and how they might benefit the world and others. And so that's about it. And it's been a pleasure. And remember, the devil is lived spelt backwards. It was made up in the Middle Ages to keep people from having so much fun. They were having way too much fun for the churches who wanted them to suffer and just give the churches money. I just made that up, but it was probably true. All right, that's it. Now let's go.